Hello and welcome. This is a segment I'm working on and doing about how to kind of spruce up some old things. This is not a real frog. I wouldn't be touching it like this if it was. But my granny had this on her porch for as long as I can remember, and it always fooled people and made people think that it was a real frog. Right now, with the rough shape that he is in, I don't think he'd really fool anybody. But by the end of this tutorial, he is going to look all nice and spruced up. So what I'm going to do first, I don't think you need to watch me do this part, is I'm going to go inside and wash him with some soap and water. Oh, I didn't realize half of his leg's gone, so we'll fix that too. It's already looking a lot better than it did with just that quick scrub. He's missing some fingers, or I don't know what you call that on a frog. And then, like I said, he's missing this. So what I'm going to do is make sure he's completely dry. And you can see, though, that gray color is coming back when it's drying. He's not going to stay the green color. This is not going to be, where you can just leave it outside and waterproof and stuff. This is just, he's going to be on my back porch. And I have a covered back porch screened in. So this is not going to be a fix for if he was to be outside. It could work, but you'd have to redo it several times. A year probably, if not more. So what I'm going to do is just going to stuff some foil in that spot that's missing. And make him a little back leg like this. Put some more down there. So I don't mind fixing him up again later. It may take a while. He may look like this again when I fix him up next time, but he's very sentimental to me. He doesn't have a name. Maybe y'all can help me name him in the comments. But this was from my granny. I loved going over to my granny's house. She's still with us, thankfully. But she gave me a lot of her stuff that she had outdoors. Actually, she was moving, and my sweet husband helped me because she was going to have she was just going to give away a lot of her stuff if nobody wanted it, and of course I wanted it because it reminds me of her and I love her so much. And so my poor husband, we had like 2 truckloads full of stuff from my granny, because that's my childhood there. But he was so sweet and thoughtful, because it was about an hour and a half away is where she lived from me, so it was quite a trek for him, and he was so sweet, and he did that. I think it was like 2 loads. There was like a hutch. I'll have to show that sometime, and all kinds of things that were hers that she was going to get rid of, and I was able to get them, and other people got other things of her stuff. And then she had a garage sale of things that weren't sentimental, I guess, and so I was grateful to get what I got, and so grateful that she is still with us, because I would much rather have her than the things, of course. But it's still nice to have something from your childhood, because we would go over there for all the holidays, and between her and my other grandma's house and grandpa. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You just kind of want to go along with what the other side looks like. And I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to put some paper mache on this. And like I said, paper mache is not going to last a long time outside unless you seal it really well with some kind of sealer that I haven't found yet. But this will work for me because it's just going to be on the back porch. And I really don't think I'm going to worry too much about the front fingers, because I think anything I try to do on there are just going to fall off again. So I'm just going to paint over that. So now the next step is to either use like an air dry clay or paper mache. And I think paper mache is going to work just fine for this. It's getting darker outside, so I'm hoping you can see this well. I've got the lights on the back porch. But this is a piece of a shop towel is what I use a lot of the time. Instead of any other kind of paper, I just use shop towels. This is what I use, not endorsing it or anything, but that's the kind that I use. That's to kind of show you what they are. They're like those blue paper towels, but they don't have much texture or anything on them. They're pretty flat. And then I use my glue and water paste, and it's a pretty thin paste. And look at my baby. What are you doing, Mabel? So I'm gonna grab this and just kind of tear it like this and get some of my glue and water mixture and just put it on there, and then put the shop towel down. And this works really well for something like this because this has texture on it, and this kind of takes on the shape of whatever you put it on. If you want it to be a lot firmer, you can use newspaper. You can use that packaging that comes in the Amazon boxes, the brown paper, stuff like that. You can use like magazine papers. Those are kind of shiny. I don't really like magazine. This is what I really like right now, is the shop towels. It's not as hard as some. I'm gonna let this probably dry overnight, or I might get a blow dryer. I'm not sure which one I'll do. I kind of have a lot of energy to do crafts right now, but we'll see. Haven't got to do any crafts in a while like this, and I love things like this. You just want to make sure it all meets up and is pretty smooth. And by smooth, I just mean smooth on the other paper towel part. She always had cute, fun stuff like this around, and it made me really enjoy having any kind of fun thing on the porch. So I hope to pass that on to my kids. that's looking pretty good. I know it's kind of sticking out right now because it's such a different color than the other. And right here I'm just putting that paper towel toward the bottom of his leg. You just want to kind of blend it as well as you can into the rest of it. The paint should cover that up in a little while. We're just trying to blend it in with the rest of his body again right there on the back side of it. And my paper keeps falling off. That looks really good to me. So I'm going to let that dry. And it's getting dark out, so I probably better go inside and study. But I will come back to this hopefully tomorrow. Oops. You got to be careful and stuff like that because it will, if you touch it too much, you're going to mess it up. So I'm just going to set that aside. This part is nice and dry. It's the next day and I don't have a chance to work on it, but I just thought I would come out here and show you what it looks like. Of course it sticks out right now like a sore thumb, but once I get it all painted the same color, it's going to look really good. Can't wait to work on it. Okay, I'm back to working on this guy. So what I'm gonna do now is give him a base coat. I think I'm gonna do the bottom. I didn't see that part right there. I'm gonna do the bottom in white and the top in either brown or black. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in that one little bitty hole. So I'm just showing you this because I want you to see how easy it is to repair something. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean it's going to last outside forever, but it's fun to redo something that you might just have to get rid of or throw away or not even give a second thought to. It's fun to be able to give it life again. And I'm just gonna let that dry before I paint that. But so right now I am going to paint the bottom white. I'm gonna paint his eyes white, and I'll probably sand that. Okay, so I've got the bottom part painted white, and I just used the acrylic white paint. Like I said, this isn't gonna be able to go out like in the direct sun. It can, but it'll have to be redone again if we do that. So I've got me some sandpaper and I'm gonna tear a piece. I just like to tear a small piece off. And I'm going to sand where the toes used to be. And I will just be painting the top part black, just all over that top part. So the next thing I'm going to do for this guy is I'm going to cover the black with some brown. It might seem kind of counterintuitive, but the cool thing about it is that black covered by a different color is really going to keep some of that black tone underneath and make it a lot better easier to cover the different color. And then we'll do a green on top of that. But originally this little guy looked pretty brown and then had just a little bit of green on him. I am not an expert on paint colors and stuff like that. I just kind of do what I feel like looks right. But there are all kinds of like color wheels and all kinds of things like that to help you if you need help painting. The thing I will say about something like this is if you can't make a decision, it's going to be so hard for you to be able to do things like this. I know people that are like that and that have like the hardest time making a decision. And the thing about art is there is no wrong answer. This is your project. You get to make your choices and you can color it however you want. It doesn't have to look like nature. I want this one to look like nature because I want to mimic what it looked like before, because I always thought it was so fun that we all thought it was a real frog. But on your stuff you can do whatever colors you want. You can even do hot pink or purple or whatever you want. But this one, I want them to look more realistic if I can get it to. I think the only green that I have is like not a hot green, a neon color green that I used for my cabbage bowls. If you haven't seen that, I have a short video up on my channel that shows you how I did those. It was really fun. This you can even make look kind of bronze. It kind of already starting to look like a bronze looking frog. But it's really neat looking once you start putting brown on top of that black. It really brings all the little details out. So I'm going to keep painting the brown, and then I'll let it dry and I'll find the green, and I'll meet you back here. I'm going to keep this part in because I wanted to show you that we all make mistakes. This neon green and the brown that I'm going to mix together right here, this is Future Betty, to let you know. The green and the brown together did not make the color that I wanted, so I had to go back later and find a darker green that I had. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this. So this is where I'm showing you I don't really care for the color, although frogs can be any color, green or brownish color. So I found this old dark green that I had and decided to use that because I like it better. So I'm just going to add that to the top of the frog. decided I wanted his eyes to be that neon color. So I'm painting that color, and then I'll put some brown on the center. So I'm just kind of highlighting a little bit with that neon green color, just to kind of bring out some of the details. I'm doing that dry brush technique. I'll show you that in a second. Just kind of going around highlighting it, getting as much paint off, and then just highlighting it with that green, and then in a minute I'm going to highlight the brown, these spots up here with some brown and a little bit of black, and then it'll be time to seal it. I'm excited. Another project almost done. And my next one is going to be probably a turtle, or I've got a sign that someone gave my husband I might do. We'll see. Just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. It's actually black paint that I used for the center of his eyes, not brown. I painted that part kind of a tan color and I didn't care for it, so I got out the brown again and went over that with some brown. Boop. I'm going to use this for the sealer. I'm just going to spray it down really good on the top, and then I'll come back in a little while and spray the bottom. And here's the final look. I'm really happy with this. I think it looks so cute, and I am going to put him on the porch and see if anybody thinks he's real. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the above, and I'll see you next time.